Trains are symbols of predictability. Tracks are fixed, schedules precise, and every movement is documented. That's why this story shakes the foundation of logic itself. Imagine a train, a full-sized express train, entering a tunnel and never coming out. No crash, no explosion, no bodies, no wreckage. Just absence. A perfectly documented disappearance that has resisted explanation for more than a century. Today, on Echoes of the Unknown, we investigate the impossible case of the Zanetti Express, the train that seemingly slipped out of reality. Our story begins in northern Italy. In the summer of 1921, the Zanetti Express was a respected passenger train, known for its punctuality and well-maintained route. On the evening of its disappearance, 48 passengers boarded. Businessmen, families, students, and 2 railway employees making their regular shift. Eyewitness accounts describe a calm, ordinary departure. The conductor performed his checklist. The engineer communicated with the station office. Nothing was out of place. The train left exactly at 7 p.m., moving steadily toward the Lombard Tunnel, a passageway carved through the mountains decades earlier. As the Zanetti Express approached the tunnel, several townspeople nearby recalled seeing its headlights glowing faintly through the twilight. The sound of steel on rails echoed through the valley, familiar, rhythmic, reassuring. The train entered the tunnel, and from that moment, the world lost track of it forever. On the opposite end of the tunnel, railway workers waited for the train to emerge. It should have appeared in less than 2 minutes. They watched and waited. 5 minutes passed. 10. At first, they suspected a mechanical issue or a slowdown. But when communication attempts failed, they contacted the station. Something was wrong, catastrophically wrong. Search teams were deployed immediately. What they found inside the tunnel stunned them. There was nothing inside. Not a broken rail, not a piece of metal, not a scrap of wood, not even marks of sudden braking. The floor of the tunnel was perfectly intact. The workers walked its entire length, shining lamps into every crevice. If a train had derailed, exploded, or burned, the evidence would have been obvious. But the tunnel looked as though the Zanetti Express had never been there at all. For the next 48 hours, search teams expanded their radius. They checked connecting lines, nearby ravines, nearby forests, and even unlikely off-track zones. A train of that size couldn't simply be hidden. Yet the official report recorded something chilling. No trace of the locomotive, carriages, or passengers has been located. Cause of disappearance remains unknown. The Italian government requested additional engineering analysis, searching for sinkholes or structural faults. None existed. The tunnel was geologically sound. The tracks were unbroken. The weather was calm. That would have been the end of the mystery. An unsolved but terrestrial tragedy, if not for what happened decades later. A group of researchers proposed an outrageous theory. The train had possibly passed through a temporal or dimensional irregularity. These weren't fringe thinkers. Several were respected physicists who had been studying gravitational anomalies. Although they admitted the theory was speculative, they argued that the total absence of physical evidence demanded non-conventional explanations. Then, in 1955, more than 30 years after the disappearance, a psychiatric institution in Mexico reported something extraordinary. 3 disoriented men were found wandering near the facility, wearing outdated Italian clothing. They spoke broken Italian and insisted they had been passengers on the Zanetti Express. Doctors believed them to be confused escapees or delusional patients until the men provided their names. The names matched individuals listed on the official 1921 passenger manifest. These were not common names. The men described entering a thick fog inside the tunnel and feeling the train shake violently as if falling through a void. Their final memory before blacking out was the sound of metal stretching, as though the train itself were being pulled apart. Although skeptics dismissed the story as coincidence, the men's clothing, behavior, and the disappearance timeline raised more questions than answers. Researchers revisited the case with renewed interest. The idea that the Zanetti Express had entered a spatial anomaly, a tear in the fabric of reality, became known as the Zanetti paradox. While mainstream science did not endorse it, several physicists noted that sudden distortions in spacetime, though immensely rare, are theoretically possible. Under precise conditions involving gravitational faults, Earth's crust shifts, or unknown cosmic interactions, such an event could momentarily form. The question was simple. If such an anomaly occurred, why did only 3 passengers appear decades later? Some theorists suggested the train may have broken apart during the event. Different sections could have exited at different points in time. The rest of the train could still be trapped in an inaccessible dimensional layer. Others proposed that the event was unstable, allowing only a few individuals to return before collapsing entirely. By now, the Lombard Tunnel was permanently sealed. Officially, this was due to structural risk, but residents reported that the closure was abrupt and followed a series of unexplained government visits. Even today, the tunnel remains blocked by reinforced barriers. No public or private team is allowed to conduct modern scans of its interior. Local stories add to the mystery. Some villagers claim they still hear the grinding of metal echoing from deep within the mountain. Others report flashes of light around the sealed entrance, appearing for seconds and vanishing instantly. Skeptics argue these are natural acoustic phenomena. Believers insist the Zanetti Express never left. Over the decades, journalists, historians, and conspiracy theorists have reopened the case again and again. Newly uncovered letters from railway employees mention government interference. Declassified documents from the 1950s reference a rail event of anomalous nature. Every clue deepens the mystery rather than solving it. And after more than 100 years, the central question remains untouched. Where is the Zanetti Express? Is it buried, undiscovered, somewhere underground? Did it break apart across time? Is it still moving, endlessly, through some dimension beyond ours? What we can say with certainty is simple. Trains do not vanish. They can crash, burn, derail, be stolen, or be destroyed, but they do not evaporate into nothing. And yet, one did. Maybe one day technology will reveal what really happened. Or maybe the Zanetti Express is still out there, suspended between moments, waiting for the world to catch up. If you want to explore more real mysteries like this one, subscribe and follow our investigations. This is Echoes of the Unknown, where forgotten stories return to life.